Mark, emerging technologies, they do provide real opportunities, as we know. And as someone who's supporting and advising on artificial intelligence, how are these new technologies being embraced by Irish business and more generally globally? We know it's the catchword of the moment, but right now, are we really seeing very fast development and an embracing of all of these developments by companies here?
Yeah, so in 2018, I co-founded a company called Aldis. So we're an AI staffing firm. We've got an office in Dublin, Glasgow, New York, and Austin, Texas. And we help companies build and scale AI-first businesses. And I do executive search in that. And last week marked my 750 on-the-record interview with these AI leaders, just asking them, how are you putting AI in action? And what's the impact of doing it? When ChatGPT came to town in November 2022, nobody really thought it was going to be as big as but it's just been exploded since then. And some companies have been kind of slow, and then some companies have been incredibly fast. And although technology is very, very important, the main point is the leadership. It's the leadership to actually say, we're going on this journey. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you about all the different types of models and the applications, but fundamentally it comes down to having a growth mindset. And the companies, and I'll talk a little bit about this later, the companies that are really striving forward and really looking at how they can disrupt have got this mindset, and they hire for mindset, and they create an environment for mindset.
Mark, to come to you, and you mentioned an AI mindset. Like, what does that look like? How does that work well in business? And how do you have the AI mindset while keeping up with the day job?
So when you're reviewing the interviews that I've completed, the one thing that stands out from those 750 interviews and the 650 applications we've reviewed for AI Ireland for the AI Awards is AI is not just the icing on the cake for these companies. AI is the flour that makes the cake. Everything that they have within their mind is how do we weave in? And this is the 4 Ps. So it's the people, the process, the product, and the place. So the people, they're empowered with the technology to do amazing work. So Copilot, for example, is a standard. But then you bring the proprietary data, the insights of their business, and suddenly you're empowering them to make incredible next best decisions or actions. And then when you look at the process, so if we look at a company like Walmart, Walmart was dealing with loads of different suppliers, long-winded suppliers that had a very, very transactional relationship with. So they went out to 100 suppliers and they said, hey, we've got this AI tool. Would you like to use it? And they expected maybe 20% to say yes. And 89% came back and said, yes, we want to try it out. So the expectations was between 15 to 20% that it will close out and actually have a better process. 89% of those closed out on those contracts. And they went back and said, hey, we gave you this AI tool. We didn't quite know how it was going to go. Do you hate us? Do you love us? What's it like? And he said it was grand. And they were like, why are you so amenable to us? It's like, well, I work in janitorial services. I don't have 6 weeks to chase someone in Walmart to get my PO. I need to do this, and I need to get out my day job. This sorted it out within 2 to 3 hours. So if you're embedding the process with digitalization across your standing operating procedures, it's less time and effort. In South Dublin, think about thousands of contracts are coming through for this large multinational. Now they can review those contracts and insert immutable text in 24 minutes that took 3 weeks. So you're implementing standard operating procedures with digitalization. So that's people, process, and then the product. Weaving AI into the product. Now staying away from that wouldn't it be cool snare projects and introducing it there, but introducing it where it needs to be. Mm-hmm. And then the most important, the place. Creating a culture where you can have a safe sandbox to trial out these different products and services. How does that work in reality though? Well, maybe you're a sales team or maybe you're a marketing team and you come together on a Tuesday for a lunch and learn from 1 to 2 p.m. and your teammates share over 5 minutes the pros and cons of an AI product that they've used. And within that 60 minutes, you've empowered the team. You do that twice a month, suddenly you create this AI mindset. You do that across all departments, and you've created a weight that's getting stronger to develop a muscle, and suddenly you're on a growth trajectory. It's not uncommon, some of the companies I'm working with, from 30% to be more productive in 1 year to 300%. How do you compete against that type of company? You don't, and that's where we need to get to.
So how important is it, Mark, to set those ethical boundaries and have that focus from the very start?
Just to give a little bit of context, there's probably around maybe 150,000 companies at the moment offering AI products or services. And in my role doing executive search, I've kissed a lot of toads of these products, right? You're inevitably asked, would you mind trying this out? And there's certainly a lot of good ones. But just because you can doesn't mean that you should. So fundamentally, we need to understand it. And for AI to really scale and to weave in, it has to be trust. We have to believe it, right? We have to go. And I think from an Irish perspective, it's a wonderful opportunity to be a leader in that area and doing it the right way. Because there's products and services out there at the moment that allow you to apply for 10,000 jobs while you sleep. That creates a cover letter, personalized, and a CV that you can send across. Now, currently, the companies that review those CVs and cover letters have to do that manually. They can't use AI to screen. So if you're in Dublin City Council or you're in any company and you've got these flocks of CVs coming through, how do you deal with that? That's a new problem. Or if you're an investigator or a funder, you're going for new types of funding research, you can use an AI product or service within 15 minutes of chopping and changing that will create a very, very compelling argument why you should get funding. What happens now? How do we start to compete? How do we collaborate? And I think that's where the AI literacy comes in to go, this is where we're currently at. Here's some of the challenges. We don't even know the unintended consequences that's coming down, and that's the importance of actually understanding it. So it's about having that honest conversation about where we need to go to.
I suppose to come to you, Mark, on this about what are the critical actions or what is at the forefront of remaining, in a digital leadership role. Where do you see the priorities?
So one of the biggest challenges you have when you're in a business is you want to scale and grow, but you're building this plane while you're flying the plane, right? And you're really time poor. But having the opportunity to say, well, actually, how much is this going to cost me? What does this actually look like? So trying to figure that out. So I'm working with a company in South Dublin, 50,000 employees, and they're looking to roll out AI agents across the world. And they're trying to figure out what that's going to be in 3, 6, 9, 12 months. What if it's a massive success? Well, that sounds exciting, but what does that actually cost us? So it's trying to help people on that journey to start to show them, but also having these use cases where you can say, this is this company, this is the industry, this is what they've done, and this is how they've done it. Here's the journey that you can go on and bringing that to life. So really focusing on that, I think, is very, very important. And then also making it accessible to everyone. So my brother is an electrician, my mum is a tour guide. My brother, he does speech to invoice. So he'll take in some calls, and rather than he go home at 6 to 7 to send out the invoices, after the call, he just says, yep, send that invoice, and it goes across. It might save him 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day, but he gets home maybe at 5:30 rather than 7 to do his work. My mum's tour guide helps to draft the first itinerary, and then she polishes it off herself. She doesn't need amazing products, but that helps her to create a service that she then impact. And I want that for the whole of society. And we're trying to help 1 million people become AI literate. So you don't have to have a degree, a PhD. You just need to stay in your lane, use products and services that can help you move forward. And that's the great thing about AI. It's personalization, and it helps you to do that journey. But our biggest challenge, how do we get it out to people? And also, how do we make them feel like they need to go on the journey rather than it's actually happened to them? And
you believe, finally, Mark, that that's something that companies and businesses are critically aware of as this future is being embraced?
Yeah, so the way I'd say it is this. We've all got access to Einstein in our pocket now to do whatever we want to do, act as if. And we can start to empower ourselves and our people to do incredible things on this island. It's there laid out for us. And we're creative poets, creative, so we can do this. It's just having the confidence and the mindset to go, we are going to be the leaders. Because when you spend time with the leaders, it turns out they need a lot of support too, because they don't know necessarily where it's going to go. Well, why don't we go on that journey where we actually say, we're going to be a leader too? And that's the growth leadership mindset I want to see.
That's going to stick in my mind, being on the plane while it's being built, but we'll move on from that. An exciting future nonetheless.